Welcome to the Creative Content Club podcast with me, Naomi Rose. If you are a business owner who wants to consistently create content that connects and converts into clients, this is the podcast for you. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Let's get right into it. Hello and welcome to episode number 14 of the Creative Content Club with me, Naomi Rose. I hope you are all well. Well, the last few weeks I have been mostly in launch mode because I have launched the first version of my How to Create Content That Converts course. And today I thought I would share with you a little bit behind the scenes of some of the content that helped make this launch a success for me. Before I actually get into that, I just want to talk about what we see as a success. What do I mean by launch content? The reason I want to talk about these first is because they are open to interpretation. Let's put it that way. Success, definitely. And it's actually a question I was asked earlier when I was recording another podcast for the wonderful Natalie Potts, was what does success look like for you? And I think for me, my answer there was about choice. We often feel that we haven't been successful if we haven't made thousands of pounds because we see so many people. Like this week, we've seen the launch Alex Hormozi has been doing. A lot of people don't even know who he is. And we all kind of compare ourselves to the success of him and what that looks like in terms of financials, in terms by the number of clients, in terms of what we see in terms of stats. But success goes much deeper than that. It's not just about those instant wins and how much money you're making. It's so much more than that. And I've learned that really the hard way. I used to judge myself on how much money was in my bank, how much my latest launch made me. Money is relatable. We all talk about money because it's something we all use, but it's also something that makes us very uncomfortable. We don't often talk about it enough, in my view. This isn't one of those podcasts where I'm going to get into money. That's not what I'm going to be talking about here. I want to talk about some real practical things that have helped me with my launch. But I wanted to say about the success because I did not get millions of pounds from this launch. I did not do that. I didn't want a big launch. I didn't want lots of people in on this launch. That to me wasn't what I was looking for. I wanted to set a pilot. This was a beta mode. I wanted to set a pilot to see whether I had got a model that could be built on, that could be repeated over and over again in the future. From what I've done this time, I believe I have. Not exactly in the same way. There was definitely lots of things I would do differently. But what it gave me was a basis, something to learn from. And I have been victim of this myself, where I have really beaten myself up when launches haven't worked. I've actually learned a hell of a lot more from launches that haven't made one single sale than I have from the launches that have made sales. Because that gives me data. It gives me information. And actually, I learn a lot quicker by those failures in what works. Sometimes if we get a launch that works really, really well and try and replicate it again, and it doesn't work so well, we're then lost as to why. But if we can build on something that hasn't worked and give us more information of what we need to do differently, we learn so much quicker. So when I'm thinking about success, it isn't about the financial numbers. It's about the people that were coming into the program, whether they were my right clients, whether they were the people that I'd want to work with. And they are exactly who I love working with. They are the people that I really wanted to, which meant, thankfully, I pitched my content to the right place. I have got it wrong in the past. Do not get me wrong. I am a content expert, but I do make mistakes with my own content. I am nowhere near perfect, but this was a test to see what was going to work. And I'd gone in with that attitude. I had set myself targets. There were metrics behind it. And I was able to look at everything that was going on. I was monitoring everything as I went through in terms of the stats, the metrics, the views, all of those kind of things. It was the content that really helped make the difference to this launch. So I wanted to share with you the 3 types of content. If you've ever been on a masterclass of mine, I will talk about different types of content. The first being what I call the evergreen, your everyday content. This is the bread and butter of your business. So if you are not launching anything, so you've not got anything new coming out, you've not got a focus on anything in particular, you are just selling the products that you have or the services you have on offer day in, day out, then this is your everyday evergreen content, the stuff that you do that keeps you visible. And that's on repeat. Then you've got the launch content, which I'm going to talk a bit about today, which is all you talk about. Anything to do with what's relevant to your latest launch, that is all you focus on. And I did that for about 8 weeks. It was all I talked about, was anything relating to the launch I was going to do. And then you've got the opportunistic stuff. This is the stuff outside our control. It's when things happen that we can take advantage of, which is relevant to our ideal client and our business. You don't have to hop on every single trend. Where you can really make a difference is hopping on the trends that your ideal clients will resonate with. And that's the opportunistic. But today I wanted to talk to you about the content that I did in my launch. It's not the first time I've launched. I've done launches in many, many different ways over the years. So many different versions of launches, so many different new campaigns, new brands, all of that sort of thing. And they all bring huge amounts of learnings every single time. I evaluate, I analyze as I go along. I do wrap-ups at the end. And I really dive into what worked, what didn't, what I could do better. But I wanted on this episode to specifically talk about three pieces of content that really worked well for me this time. Whatever I did, I kept everything consistent. That is one thing you must do, is talk about it as though you've never talked about it before. I was sick of saying the words consistent, content, converts, how to, all of those things. I've been saying them for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I was really getting tired of saying the same things. Yes, I'm a content marketer. I talk about content all the time. It's something I bang on about all the time. I don't get tired of talking about the different kind of content subjects, but talking about the same thing over and over and over again. It's what you have to do to get the cut through. It's why TV advertising works so well, because you don't notice the advert the first time around, but you will remember it eventually. It's like the first time we've seen the Coca-Cola Christmas advert, not to mention the C word so early in the year. We look forward to that every year. We know it's going to come back. It's that kind of thing. It's like, what's going to be on the advert this year? What's John Lewis going to do this year? Because it's that advertising that makes us rememberable. So we have to do the repetitive content. And it's exactly what I did with my launch, was say the same things over and over and over again. Still people told me they hadn't heard about it. Still people said they hadn't seen it, because people don't. You're the only one that sees everything you do. But these are the content that really made the big difference for me. And I'm going to tell you the 3 ones that really did the best. The first one, which most of us really find hard to know how to talk about this, and I talk about it a lot. I did the masterclass on it as well, was storytelling. What do I mean by storytelling? It's not talking about your product or your service. It's talking about the things that are relatable to people. It's talking about the small stuff that people remember. It's the things that, like, I use the example of, if I'm talking about someone that I'm working with in business and I'm telling my husband about my day, I will probably describe them, this person is a coach, but they had 3 kids and they have a dog called Boris, or whatever the name might be, and they live in a farm in the middle of nowhere. That I don't know anyone with that, but you get my point. I will tell them something that they can relate to, that my husband can relate to about them. If I start talking about all the ins and outs of business coaching, they wouldn't. But it's what I remember. It's what I connect with, because I don't know everything they know. And that's exactly what storytelling does. It brings people in. It brings people to understand who you are, and they can connect with that. It's not about making you not sound professional. We're so worried that if we don't talk about work or talk about our business, we will sound unprofessional. It's not that. We can talk about things outside of business. It's your why. It's why you do what you do. Those mistakes that you've made, the stories that people connect with. Like, I talk about so many different things that I do, but it's because that's what people remind me. People message me about beekeeping because I keep bees. They ask me bee-related questions. They think that, that interests them. So I'm like their bee expert as well now, but that is what people remember me for. They will also then come to me with content marketing, but they have that connection. They feel like they can reach out and talk about that. And that storytelling element was a big part of this launch. It was telling things in a way that was relatable to people. It was actually putting the actions they would take in their words that really stood out. Like when you go out for a walk, you're walking your dog, you're thinking, yes, I've got a great idea for a bit of content. I'm going to come back and write it. And then you have absolutely no idea how to put that onto paper, onto virtual paper when you get back. And it's like calling out all of those little things, telling those stories that people get, that they feel like they've been there, that go, that's me. That's what we're looking for with the stories, that they can connect with you. It's about being able to be you, because that's who people would buy. The second really important part of any content plan in a launch, and I'm not just talking about on social media here, this is across your sales page. It could be on a blog, it could be on a podcast, it could be in your email, it could be on an advert. All of these things need to have that consistency running through of the things you are talking about. We take people on a journey with our content. I hate the word journey, but we take people through different stages of emotions with our content before they become in a place where they're ready to buy. People that are already warm to you are most likely to buy straight away. People that get you are all ready to buy from you straight away because you don't need to convince them. They already have that trust. But there are some people that haven't bought from you before that need more time to process. And all of these layers of content help do that. And that's why this second point is so important. It's what we call the social proof. It's the testimonial side of it, but it's actually really not showing how good you are at your job. What the testimonials do is make it relatable to the people that are going to buy. They can see the evidence from people like them. They don't necessarily believe that they can achieve, and this is your ideal clients, don't necessarily believe they can achieve, but if they can see someone like them that have had results, that have got results from working from you, that have had a transformation, then they will start to see what might be possible. It's not that they don't believe that you could probably create that transformation for them. It's they don't believe that they can create the transformation for themselves. They just don't have that self-belief. It's not to do with you. We always think it's to do with us. It isn't. It's to do with your clients. It's to do with how they're feeling and the beliefs they have. Most people don't buy because they don't believe the transformation is attainable. And that's exactly what that social proof does. It shows you and what you can do in the eyes of someone who is like the person that wants to buy. And also, some of these stories are really important to tell in terms of the transformations that people have, but it's also a bit about your own integrity. So one of the posts that actually performed probably the best was me. Again, this was slightly opportunistic, but I had a clarity call with someone who was thinking about joining the course, and they were really on the fence. They weren't sure whether they're ready. And I actually told them not to buy because I didn't think they were ready. It wasn't that I don't think the course could get them results. I just think it's not yet. It's not right now. Then they've got too much going on. They're not going to benefit from it, and they're not going to achieve what they want to achieve. And they're going to feel overwhelmed, and they're going to feel like they're not doing good enough. Not that the course materials are necessarily going to be bad, but they're not going to feel like they're winning. And I could see that. I could see that overwhelm. And I told them not to buy. And I shared this story in the middle of my course launch about how I told someone not to buy from me, what the process was, what they said to me in the messages after I told them not to buy. And it was that did really particularly well. But it's also to show that some people are scared to get on a clarity call. If I feel like I'm going to be sold to, I won't do it. I like to buy, but I do not like to be sold to. When you remember that about your ideal clients, it's a real big mind shift. And it's exactly what I don't do on clarity calls. If I think something is good for someone, I will tell them, but I will never force anyone to buy from me, because I know if I'm doing that, they're not going to get the results they want. And that's not what I want for people. That is not what I do. And that social proof is just as powerful as showing the wins as well, because that shows a lot about you as a business owner. So sometimes it is sharing those inside conversations that you have with people, sharing those screenshots of the conversations you have, that really can build that connection, that people can see you're not just making stuff up. And that was so important to part of this launch, was showing actually if you're not ready, I will tell you. If I ask, do you want to join? And you say, I can't, now it's not a great time. Money-wise, I need to give it a little longer. I've got other priorities right now. I'm working with someone else. Good. I'm glad you're getting results. I'm really pleased for you. I'm not going to take it personally that you're not joining my course. Of course, I'd love everybody to join, but that's not who I am. But it makes people build confidence to know that they can trust you, that you're going to help them get the results they really want. The third and final bit, which I think really helped, and I often say this because we often talk about content and we need to solve a problem. We need to show what problem we solve in terms of our content. Actually, you've got to show how you fix the symptom. People relate to symptoms. You think people go, like, let's take the example of going to a doctor. We don't go, we want a problem solved, but we go because we got symptoms. Your foot hurts, you got a sore throat, you got blurry vision, earache, any of those things. That's a symptom. You want them to find out the problem and give you a solution. So you have to create content that talks exactly to those symptoms, not the problem, because most people don't know what their problem is. We know we have to solve a problem, and your content should solve a problem, but you need to talk about the symptoms in their language. Like if I say, are you making any sales from Instagram? If I start talking about content strategy, even I would get bored with that. No one wakes up thinking, my content strategy isn't working. Most business owners don't even have a content strategy. It's not the top of their mind. They're probably more worried about how much money they've got in the bank right now than they are about whether they've got a content strategy. But actually, if I start breaking it down in a way that's really relatable to them and that speaks to their direct needs in terms of health, wealth, or peace of mind, then they start to really get it. So I don't talk to problems. I talk to symptoms. I talk about the symptoms that people have, the actions that they're taking, and what's happening with that, exactly what results that they are not seeing from what they're doing. And sometimes it is like you're trying to post all the time. You're getting stuff out there. You're being consistent, but actually your posts aren't working. You're spending way too much time. You feel disorganized. You get that panic that you haven't put anything out there and you're failing as a business owner because you're not being visible enough. That's what people feel. Like, I know what that feels like to have the posting panic, to not have felt like you've done enough in your business every single day when it comes to your content and your marketing, and that overwhelmed feeling of feeling like you're trying to do it all and not actually achieving and getting the sales in. But actually, if I could solve that problem by giving you an easy solution in terms of giving you a content plan that works on repeat so you don't need to think about it and worry about it and you can concentrate on the stuff that makes you money, then that really resonates with people. So we have to talk to the symptoms. We have to talk exactly to what that's happening right now. And that was the content that really worked well. I hope this episode has been helpful for you in a little bit of the behind the scenes of the types of content that are working really well for me in terms of this launch. I am going to be doing other launches throughout the rest of this year. So I'm going to be testing more of this content, which I'll share with you as well. But if you have any questions, please do ask. And just as a little sales thing here, it was my birthday at the weekend, which I don't normally talk about, but I have got 3 fantastic offers on right now. If you go check out my stories on my Instagram or on my posts, actually it'll be on my post now, go and see the offers because there's a really amazing one-to-one offer. There's also a 90-minute session, which I never offer. I don't do 90-minute one-off sessions, but it's a really good deal for what you get if you just want a quick fix right now. And then there's also a really great offer to join the membership. They're available until the 22nd, that's this Friday. So do go check those out. And if you have any questions, just drop me a message. I'm not going to tell you to buy something if I don't think it's right for you. So you can trust that about me. But I hope this episode has been useful. I'll be back again next week with another episode of the Creative Content Club. In the meantime, have a wonderful week and I will speak to you again soon. Thank you for listening to the Creative Content Club podcast with me, Naomi Rose. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this podcast a review. If this episode gave you clarity or sparked a new idea, I'd really appreciate it if you could share it with someone else who would find it useful. If you haven't already, give me a follow on Instagram and come and connect with me on LinkedIn. And finally, don't forget to check out the show notes to take my quiz to find out exactly why your content isn't converting into clients. Thanks again for listening, and I'll be back again next week with another episode.